Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben here with Brian Dillon talking about episode 7 of Survivor 49. We have the merge. We have something interesting happening. We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, but I don't want to bury the lead. Dylan, you went to the Survivor Experience, the last week of the Survivor Experience at the bar owned by Shannon's parents.
Mhm.
Tell us about it, man. How was it?
Yep. So I was there for I think a combined 4 hours last night because I sat down to dinner before. I guess to kind of go down the timeline of how that transpired. So I was sat down. You walk in the bar. I've never been in the bar before. The bar's right near TD Garden in Boston. Bar's massive. It does have 4 floors. The first part you walk in is a sports bar. Celtics were playing that night, so there's a lot of Celtics fan. But you take immediately when you walk in, you see that there is a bunch of Survivor stuff. There's an elevator going up that has all Survivor stuff in it to the 3rd floor. You check in. We were sat down on the 4th floor, and I had the very unfortunate circumstance where I was put in a table you can tell was a table that is not normally a table in that spot. Because you're surrounded by like the high top bar tables, and they sat me and my brother in this like little incredibly wobbly table, and like everybody's asses were just behind me, like as they waited in line, like bumping into my chair to do the challenge stuff. So I was a little upset at first because you had to pay $45 just to get the seat, and then you do actually when you sit down, you got a $10 ticket for food, which I thought was nice. And then you also get I think it was either $10 off or 10% off merch. So you do get something back in that $45. Plus, there was like a limited menu that you could pick from. I made the mistake, and this is not the place's fault at all. I don't even know ceviche. It's like a raw fish, like marinates and like lime juices and citrus, and that's like how it kind of gets its color. I'm on a big fish kick, so I figured I'd try it, kind of not really fully understanding what it was. So I was already in a bad mood.
Could be good, but was it any good?
I was not in the right state of mind for it to be good for me, but that was not the bar's fault.
Right.
Waiters were great. The vibes were great. A lot of Survivor fans. The TVs were showing. At first, I thought the TVs were going to be showing like a continuous loop of episodes. They're basically showing the challenges that the challenges that you would do. So it was the challenge where you hold the ball, you hold and balance it, and like it's on like the loop up top.
Mhm.
To like balance it to hold it there. And then there's the other one they did. I think it was Heroes versus Hustlers, not Heroes versus. It was I think it was Heroes versus Hustlers versus, or it was whatever season Ty's first season, whatever that theme was that year. Cal Rung was the one that had the one that I'm talking about. Where it's like the flat plate, and you have the balls, you got to balance it, and then you have 3 balls, and then they fall off.
Yeah,
those were the 2 challenges up there, and then on the 3rd floor. So after we were done eating, I got some merch. I bought 2 shirts, one for me, one for my wife. $40, which I thought was not bad for 2. Then we went down to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor was a whole different vibe. It was quiet. There was 100 tables down there unopened, so I'm not sure why I sat at the little like fold out table in the middle of where everybody was standing. But down there was the winner's wall, and they also had a new challenge that has not been done yet, and is going to be done in this season. And it is essentially there's a ball in a bird cage. You're giving 2 long paddles that have like a spoon like end to it, and basically you have to get the ball up the cage. The cage has like levels and slots. You have to get the ball up the cage and through a hole in the top to pull it out. I assume it's going to be something that's part of like a larger challenge. You know what I mean? Where it's like a step to getting a ball. I do wonder if maybe it is getting a ball to drop and do the challenge I told you I didn't want to see anymore at the end. I wonder if there's a fun little twist for that. I won. I beat the 2 other people I went against very quick. It's very quick though. Basically my trick was I went level by level, and I think a lot of people tried to get it up as high as they can, then do it. And I just did level scoop. That was cool. A couple pictures. I became like the de facto picture guy for everybody that wanted to take a picture with the Survivor sign. That's where my standing spot was. And so things really did turn around. Unfortunately, it does not look like very many winners, at least, have been in since the opening night. Because I remember the opening night, there was Jeremy, Ethan, Natalie, I think maybe Michelle was there the opening night. I know Sophie was there. But since then, it doesn't look like anybody else has signed it. I saw that Wendell had been signed it, and I know other non-winners have been since. Like my brother had a conversation with Jake, and he said that Jake was just an absolute delight to talk to. So there's definitely been Survivor alum that have been there, but in terms of winners, not a whole lot. Yesterday I saw that Tyson and Rob were together. I got very excited because I'm like, oh, maybe they're gonna be here, but they're at the poker. I think the World Series of Poker. So then we had seats for the viewing at the bar, and that was awesome. We had great seats for that. The vibes are awesome during the viewing party. You can hear everything. Everybody was into it, even the bartenders and all that. Great episode, like we're going to talk about. So that was a plus. It ended up being a really good night after I got out of that whole dinner ordeal. But it was very cool. It was well done. I think that for the space they had, they did the best they could. And I think it was a lot of fun. I wish I had gone the opening night, given I had the opportunity to see something like Natalie, who's Natalie and Jeremy are both my top 3 favorite players, so that would have been pretty cool. But no, I'm very happy I did it. Just watch parties themselves was just very cool. I think I would definitely just do a watch party again. If the Survivor Cafe comes back, if they end up somehow doing it like each year, I would go just for the watch party, to do that. That was a lot of fun. So I'm glad I did it. It was a fun experience.
Yeah, watch parties are fun. Last one I went to with Ben, and we were the only two rooting for Gabby on David versus Goliath, while everyone else is trashing her. So we had a fun time. Like anytime something good happened with her, cheering and booing. I think Christian. Though it didn't end well for us that evening, unfortunately. But it's really fun. It's almost like a sporting event to watch live with people.
Yeah, I was a little concerned of audio, but I could hear that all the TVs going. I had a great view. I had 2 TVs in front of me. It's definitely all about where you end up getting seated for a lot of it. You have to say for dinner for me it was really unfortunate, but I think I was the only bad dinner seat you could get. All the other seats were normal seats, high tops. Same thing for the viewing parties. Some seats you would have to turn around to watch the TV, but it was a really positive experience. And then there was also a Celtics game going on at the same time, so there was just a lot of people around the streets after. Were a lot of people. Traffic getting home was brutal, but other than that, it was a solid night. So, and it was a good episode. That's honestly the most important thing. There was a big audible cheer when we found out that we were getting as legit of a merge as we've gotten recently. So that was a big plus. And I overall, it was good. It was, like I said, it was a good experience. I would do it again. I would go to that bar again. It was a good time.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys about the merge. Do you think there's any chance that, because we got to vote on it, right? It's part of the season 50 thing. Do you think we saw like a big contingent of people voting for the regular merge?
95% don't do early merge.
Yeah, they're like, all right, we'll just do the regular merge.
Let's get the ball rolling this one.
Yeah. You can still do a fuck ass challenge, but Well,
okay, we talked about this with 48, and this is kind of something I want to bring up. Where like this was like basically not significantly different than what they did for 48. It's just that in 48 they still didn't call it the merge, and like that's why like Jeff's whole thing when he's like explaining it and then giving them the buffs and saying, "Oh, you're merged," like he made it seem like it was obvious, but like last season. The game structure played out identically, but he just didn't call it the merge, and so like it's not obvious. Obviously, Jeff, to you, it's obvious to the rest of us, but you're acting like we're the ones like holding out and calling it the merge when it's been you.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I think like the main thing from the pre challenge thing is that trio on Kelly are so awkward and like what, you're not even gonna go to the beach to like wait for people. I get they were like it's gonna be awkward because we voted Shannon out, but like it's not gonna be less awkward by sitting up in the camp.
Do you think too much has been made of this whole like tribe versus tribe thing? Do you think that it's kind of like I'm all for a little bit more of rivalry with these seasons. I do think it's gotten a little bit. I I guess I really don't know that necessarily what I'm trying to say, but yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
Sage and Juwan kind of saved the season from devolving into a
Mhm.
tribe versus tribe thing. I think the game is super wide open for the rest of the
Yeah.
merge, which I'm very excited about. And so thank
So
them.
I obviously wasn't here last week either, so I guess like quickly touching on the Shannon vote out. I think outside of my semi dislike for Sage, although I do think now my kind of hope is that now that Shannon is out of Sage's scope, that she is going to start playing the game, which I do feel like we saw a little bit in this episode. Do you feel like that was the proper move to go for Shannon last week? Given Shannon was overplayed, she played too hard at that time. She
Mhm.
misunderstood her kind of her spot in the game. Um, I mean, my gut says yes. I just don't. I necessarily. It's always that we're leaving the alliance we're in because we're on the bottom of this alliance, and then we're kind of going over to this other alliance where I think they're still kind of in the bottom, but it seems like that they know that they can leverage these people more than they could with Savannah and Rizzo and Nate and Sophie. So I'm like, I think it was a good move, but at the same time, I and it's also like the type of move that we were begging for players like Mitch, for example, to play. I saw that was something that some people have brought up
Mhm.
of like this is the type of move that Mitch needed to make, you know, in 4 or 5 different episodes last season. So I think it was a good move, and I think,
Some say he's still waiting to make the move
Yeah.
to this day.
I think it was more so Shannon overplayed and was playing too hard and kind of forced it upon herself more so than it was like the proper move for them.
I mean, I'm always a big proponent of like, if you know you're on the bottom of an alliance, do whatever you can to not be, do whatever you can to knock the tower down to see if you can get in a better position with when the pieces are reformed. So
Yeah.
I was very cool with it. And I do think Shannon didn't do herself any favors by being like, maybe we vote off Jawan. Like I think that they were both in a bad spot and now they are in a better spot.
Mhm.
Will it pay off and like are they gonna win? I don't know, but like at least they did something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like a go out swing kind of vibe, right? Where like the reason that people were so hard on Mitch, for example, is because like when you know you're in a losing position and you do nothing, you're guaranteeing that you lose. Whereas like if you're in a losing position and you do something, even if that something is imperfect, even if that something inevitably lands you also in a losing position, like you at least like you roll the dice in a situation where like keeping the dice in your hand is not going to get you anything. And that's kind of my feeling here. Like I think they're definitely in a better spot now than they would have been if they had just gotten really strong. Like I don't see them getting past 6th place if they had not made this move. And now they do have this bottoms up trio with Steven. Is Steven going to be more loyal to them than to like Christina and MC? I don't know, but like it's possible. And the fact that out now exists for them means that they're definitely in a better spot and they now have some win equity when they had none before.
And in fairness, Steven never voted with his original alliance. Like he never got to like actually test it. These two actually came through for him in the game.
100%.
I think that's the opposite side of whether breaking from that alliance is the right or wrong moves, especially if you're in Steven's situation, if you're in a spot where yes, you've been living on this beach with these other people and they have been quote unquote your tribe, but if you've never gone to tribal and you've never tested, and I think I forget if Sage said it last week or it was this week, of you don't really know where the lines are drawn until they're actually drawn. And so that really is kind of the first true indicator of if somebody's loyalty or not. And I know we talked about previously too of people being scared to be perceived as like liars or backstabbers in this game as much as they used to be. I think that that's a really good point though. Of if I've never gone to tribal with you, I still don't know for sure if I'm truly with you or not. So that's not necessarily something I would hold against a player like Steven either. Steve, I think that trio of those three, of Jawan, Sage, and Steven, I actually think it is a really interesting kind of a B plot, or maybe even a C plot to the rest of this season of can they do what needs to be done to pull the trigger? Because maybe we're essentially seeing what is going to be this merge tribe splitting into three different factions, where I feel very confident now we have a very, very strong Sophie, Savannah, Rizzo, because they're going to have to be at this point. And then the three we just talked about, Sage, Steven, and Jawan, who kind of came together and proved that they were willing to work with each other and loyal to each other. And then we have the other three of MC, Christina, and Sophie. And I guess I really don't know where Sophie lies in all that, because obviously we saw Sophie last week thrown under the bus by Christina. It was nice to hear a little bit more of Sophie, that she is indeed there on the island and alive. So that was nice. And then is there anybody, I think, and then Alex. Yeah, Alex would be the fourth. That to me at least seems like where naturally, if you're talking about lines, those are where the three factions would form at that point. And I still really like Ben's pick with Sophie. I still think that she is there, but she is still relevant to what is going on. I think we saw the shark that is Savannah begin to come out this week too, which is great. And I think Rizzo. I immediately got a little bit nervous in the vote today or last night for Rizzo, but I think that Rizzo not playing his idol there was the right move. Obviously, we can get the trial. I don't want to jump ahead, but I am liking where this season's going. I think we've gotten past that. We've shaken off the rust of 48 going into 49. I think that we've gotten rid of the weaker players for this season. I am looking forward to the rest of the season after being completely out essentially, 2 weeks ago. So that is a positive.
Yeah, I don't think that this bottoms up trio was a C plot or maybe even a B plot. I think it's right now it's the A plot, right? Like especially like just looking structurally at the way the game is set up. Like Steven is in a crushing strategic position right now. Like if the narrative of the season wasn't so kind of wonky and misbalanced, like I would be like saying like lock Steven in for the end game, one of the more likely people to win. It's just that like I don't know with the way that the storytelling in the season has gone if any Hina can win, despite the fact that they came out on top here. Because even in this episode, the four Hinas were not given credit for flipping this vote at all. Like all of the credit went to Sage and Jawan, and Sage in particular. Like if I'm looking at that group of 7 right now, like the only person from there that like feels like they have a potential winner story for me is Sage, which is bizarre because like this should be an unlosable position, and Steven is so like well positioned socially and strategically, but like the way that the story was told for this flip just kind of feels like it sold it in like the like least impressive way possible, and it's like very perplexing. Like I that also obviously combined with what we know about 50, but like even like it's like 80-20 for me. Like the storytelling on this season has been very bizarre, and I'm kind of like curious how it plays out, because I don't really like understand how this mechanically works itself out in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. Like I saw somebody on TikTok who's like, oh wow, like who's it gonna be? Savannah, Rizzo, or the only one who's not on 50? And I was kind of like, clearly someone wasn't watching Millennials versus Gen X live, because that's what we thought about Michaela too. And then we all were like, what the fuck? Time. So it could be setting up for, a surprising blindside on either of them, maybe, but they could go far. That was our assumption, was that they were going to go deep into the game, but they are in bad spot right now.
I think we had talked about this previously, but did you know going into to that season that Zeke and Michaela were in the Game Changers?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't like I don't know how to put it. Ben and I have been very online in the Survivor community for years and years, so we know like when an all-star season is happening and who's going to be on it before.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this is like pretty much any time there's a returning player season, it's like the second, filmed second basically. Like it's usually pretty well known who the returning player is going to be. Like Malcolm on Care About One also was the same way. Like people
right.
went into Philippines knowing that Malcolm was on Care About One.
Yeah, it's crazy because we were like, it was Troy Zan was on that cast, and then last second Malcolm came in and sniped him out.
I also think too the reason I don't name that the A plot is the exact thing you brought up of the knowledge of 50, which is why like the spotlight is still on Rizzo and Savannah for me. To that point, like I said, I was legitimately a little slightly nervous for Rizzo. I thought that narratively, him going tonight, like I think he's shown enough where I would understand if he went last night why he would be on 50. I'm hoping obviously now it's adding more. It's more fuel to the fire for Rizgod in 50. But Savannah, I'm now locked in completely of even the Savannah versus Sage that we're kind of getting lined up to get. Then I think I more so, because I've been saying Sage, I think has come across very inauthentic to me. Whereas now that we've been exposed to her a little bit, and maybe a lot of the stuff with Shannon was a little bit too built up for cameras, where now I do think everybody knows somebody like Sage that kind of just hates everything and everyone that is kind of like a little bit corny and cheesy. And at the same time, I think Sage versus Savannah, where you have somebody that is incredibly confident in themselves, and then someone that is, for lack of a better word, a hater in Sage. And I'm a living, breathing hater, so I'm not like saying that in a negative way. I think that's gonna be. I think that if that stays true, that could be a very, very fun matchup. I don't see a situation of them coming together to work together, so I kind of do hope that we do get that Sage versus Savannah matchup. Obviously, I think we all assume how that's gonna end when it happens, but I think it could be very entertaining.
Yeah. Can I say something? I'm not sure if this will be popular at all because I do like Savannah, but the way she talks to people is very like a mother talking to a child.
Yeah, it's very
patronizing. Yeah. And so it's like, her like direct, like look into like, listen, I want to work with you. I think we can work. It's like if someone was talking to me like that, I'd be like, oh my God, I hate this person so much. Like it doesn't feel like she talks to people, she talks at them or talks not like super down to them, like she outright doesn't respect them, but she has like this. I don't know if someone told her like you need to make eye contact to like get to, but the way she does it, like not great. She's gonna tear up PTA meetings someday when she's her mother, but like for her Survivor, not sure it's the best.
Much like life itself, there are subs and there are doms, and I think in Survivor there are two subs and doms.
And Joanna's a Twitch.
Yeah, right. I could see how people on the island would not like that if you are not, or if you're not either used to Savannah or you're not already working with her. I can see how that could be a big turnoff to working with her. But at the same time, I think a lot of when you need somebody to be in the driver's seat with a lot of this, you need somebody to be the person that is one. It's also gonna be good for your game too if you have someone like Savannah coming to you saying, "Hey, we're doing this, this, and this." And one thing, if it blows up in your face, you could say, "Hey, Savannah, this was on you." And then if you ever get down to a jury, you could say, "Hey, this was Savannah, not me." And then you obviously have to get into of why, like, well, then why didn't you do your own moves? But it would be not right for me to call out Sage and then to let Savannah slide for kind of just like being the opposite end of how she's interacting with people. I maybe it just continues to build up that rivalry or like kind of the because eventually we're talking about factions. We're gonna have a one faction versus the other when we get down to towards the end of this game. I think that's been pretty clear. Kind of like you talk about narrative of the build up to what we're getting. I just assume Savannah's side is going to be the dominant side in the end. I don't know. I guess I'd be curious of if it's brought up more, because like I don't think we've heard anybody like Rizzo. We obviously know that Savannah and Jawan don't love each other, especially Savannah doesn't love Jawan. It seemed like Nate and Savannah got along really well, and Nate was also somebody else that I feel like was very he wanted to be in control of the conversation, things like that. Which I am sad to see Nate go. I thought he was a great player, but yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with the rest of this.
I think it's like awkward because like they had kind of in their minds like been like, oh, if we go to tribal council, these two are out, but now they like are necessary for them to continue going. And Savannah had like a confessional where she almost was like, I didn't really think much about them, but now I see their value to me, you know, like it's like, all right, Savannah, like I don't know, it just came off kind of like she's not wanting to work with them for them. It's just like, well, it would be better for me if they worked with me, so I want to work with them, you know.
Yeah, and I appreciate Sage talking that and then calling it out in her confessional. Like this is what I love both Sage and Savannah for very different reasons. I think they're probably two of my favorite people on the season. I am excited to see how this kind of plays out, and it is definitely like Savannah does have kind of this like very like she has like a sociopathic vibe to her, but like it's very obvious. Like it's very unsubtle, and so like it's very easy to see through that she's like being insincere, and she's like basically just like lying directly to your face to try to manipulate you, which is like very interesting. So it's not like a common archetype on Survivor. Somebody who's just like that, like flagrantly like deceptive, but like also very see-through in their deception. And you know, like we just got somebody on, you know, Big Brother who was similar to this, but you know, it historically does not turn out very well for jury votes. We'll say that. We'll see if
I will say he had a fun aspect of also being like a self-pitying kind of loser while also being like incredibly self-serving psychopath. So yeah. That was great casting. So hopefully she can turn into as good as a character as Vince was on Big Brother.
Yeah, I think it's a great cast. I think it's great casting. I think it makes for really compelling TV. And I do wonder, like you basically have to play flawlessly to the point where like people can't deny that you like got them, even though you should have seen through them. Like there's like, I don't know. I think it's going to be very difficult for somebody playing the way Savannah is to like actually win a jury vote, even if she plays like she turns around her game and anything like that, just simply by the way that she kind of has interacted with people. But we'll see. It's very entertaining.
So I guess where did Nate go wrong in all of this? What's your feelings on that?
I mean, he's like the Edgardo, right? Like he's just like, you know,
right.
That's the reason he got voted out, is because he, you know, when there's advantages and idols in the ether, and there's like a move being made, like a play being made on your alliance, and you're the one who has the least connections, like the least obvious connections, and are the least likely to have an idol or an advantage, you often just kind of become the default like safe vote.
Yep.
I was gonna say, I don't think he did anything wrong. I think two things went wrong. I would have used the knowledge is power advantage here. Me personally, I don't know why that wasn't used, especially when you know where the two idols are at that point.
Yeah.
Seemed like the proper thing to do, you know, if I'm building up Sophie. I'm curious to see what the rationale behind not using it in the end there was. I would less so put it on Riz God for not playing his idol, because he would have played it on himself. So I think, but when it comes to Nate, I mean, in the end, obviously the right vote, if you're kind of taking all the knowledge, including meta, would have been Savannah. I'm a little surprised there wasn't more of a push for Savannah. So Yeah, I think to Ben's point, I think Nate was he was cannon fodder that was necessary. I'm surprised there wasn't more of a push for Savannah. I'm surprised they didn't. Maybe because they know he had a idol that they didn't go for Rizzo.
Yeah, I think keeping Savannah around makes some level of sense compared to Nate, right? Because like Savannah, as we just talked about, is very unsubtle in her gameplay, and she's abrasive towards the people who are likely to flip back. Like Sage very clearly doesn't like her. She has beef with Jawan, even if it's like one-sided or kind of like this kind of weird beef. She just had this confrontation with MC over the Beware advantage, which was like ridiculous. Like they're just like, I think if we're talking about who could potentially flip this structure back on its head, it seems on its face to be unlikely to be Savannah, given the number of people that seem put off by her right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But I know we gotta out here. So I guess, Dylan, anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to bring up before we sign off?
No, I think really the point I wanted to touch on was the playing or not playing of the knowledge is power. Because even as I'm sitting here like thinking about it now, it's like we also talk about people making moves too early. But it's so rare when you're in a situation where you know where most likely the only two idols are at the moment. I forget that people know, nobody knew that she had the knowledge is power, right? Only she knows.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, because obviously, especially if you didn't think that you were going home, and I guess they didn't really. That's part of why the props need to go to Jawan and Sage, regardless of if I think they should have gotten Savannah. It was a good move for them in the sense it was a blind. I don't think that for whatever. Like I'm trying to play back the episode in my head. I don't really remember how locked that Nate and Savannah and Rizzo and Sophie thought Jawan was and Sage, but especially Jawan. So I think also because we knew there was two idols and there was some of the knowledge's power, I kind of overlooked the move itself by Sage and Jawan and like that whole power structure of being the swing votes there. And I guess Alex is like another one where I think Alex is in an interesting predicament where he has kind of turned himself into a swing vote with Steven, where it's like, that's what I mean by the three factions. We always have a whole faction of everybody that is the swing vote, which I guess that's how swing votes work. Yeah, I don't know. I am genuinely really excited for the rest of the season. I think that they have now built up a really strong post merge. And I know that I think Jeff in an interview said that like the season progressed and got better as it went. I just really pay any mind to it because obviously like he's the person that would need to build up this season. But it does feel like it's going that way. So I am very excited, which is a far cry from where I was 2-3 weeks ago, where I was ready to just not watch the rest of this season. So that is good. I do think that we need to continue for Survivor to stay out of their own way and just let people play. And it's good for like Sage and Jawan making those moves because now we don't have the frustration that we had with like Mitch last season of or people like Mitch too in the position they're in, not making moves when they should have. So that is a positive, and I think that and I think the editing in this episode was great too. That very unfortunate cut to Christina breaking the hammock was very, very funny. Survivor Cafe got a good laugh out of that. I think stuff like that is great. And it's not meant to be like mean or anything like that. It was just perfectly timed with I forget who was talking. I forget if it was Jawan, Steven was talking. So that was great. And that's entertaining. And that does play into outside of gameplay, stuff like that. We're getting more of that now. And just everything was just so boring and one-sided at the beginning of the season. It's just nice to see that change, even if we have a pretty good idea of what the end results are. So no, that's kind of my end talking point is I am all aboard back on Survivor again. I think we're going to have a really good, I don't know, we have 8 episodes left, I think, 8, 9 episodes. So very much looking forward to it.
Yeah. Ben, anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to?
Yeah, the only thing I want to talk about as well was I know a lot of people were not happy with Jeff bringing up Survivor 50 to the players of the challenge as like kind of a, hey, the season's been a little bit boring. There's spots open on the next season. It's going to be a huge all-star season. Pick up the gameplay and maybe you'll get on. And then we get this move. Like, I don't know. I don't think I feel like it's more of a correlation versus causation thing. I could understand being upset at this if it like led to some kind of like big move-itis situation where people were just doing things just to be flashy and it was bad gameplay. Because I think, historically, Brian, you and me have been critical of people like playing for the return and like doing stupid things just to like try to like, obviously making good TV is good, but like making moves specifically so that you can return in a future season as opposed to like just playing well is bad, I think, from my perspective at least. But that's not what happened here. And like we've said, the flip was good for Sage and Juwan. This wasn't big move-itis. This wasn't like making a move for the sake of making a move. So I don't really see the issue, at least from a results-oriented perspective.
Yeah, this was set in motion last episode anyways. Like This was their plan and what they were going to do. So, I think it's interesting. I'm sure there is a little bit in the back of their head, like to prevent a Mitch situation, there's probably not going to be someone like Mitch this season because there is going to be that little voice in the back of their head, like, but if I do make this move, maybe, I get to play again in a couple weeks. So we'll see. All right, Dylan, anything you want to promote before we get on out of here?
No, before I do forget, because we haven't gotten a whole lot out of her, but she's a player I like a lot, is MC. I think everything with MC with finding the idol was good. I like that Steven Savannah and MC a lot. Once again, see the shark that is Savannah, but also I find MC very, very likable. And I also think playing the idol was the right move for her to, one, get the target off her back. Two, it very easily could have been her tonight if she thought that it, you know what I mean? Like it very easily could have been MC. So I don't knock her for playing it. I actually think it was a smart move to just immediately kill it. And then you have a chance to maybe find it again tomorrow and not have everybody know about it. So I hope to see more of MC. She definitely feels like somebody that maybe potentially makes, maybe like final 6, final 7, and then loses a challenge and is easily voted out. But I hope to see a little bit more from her and more of a strategic side to her as well. Because I find MC very, very likable, and it's a player I want to see more out of. So props MC. I think that was the right move to play it. It was smart. You get it out of there, you get it off your back, and you can easily go out and find another one tomorrow. So yeah.
Do you think, I know that like the established reason for having the idols look like shit now is because they want to like make them as possible, like people think that they're fake, or like have it be easier for people to make fake idols. But like I think also like if they're not so nice, less people will want to keep them and take them home as souvenirs. Like, because these idols fucking suck, dude. They look like, I don't know, a summer camp activity versus
the bees on a string.
Cool. Yeah, horrible. That's my big beef. That's what I wanted to talk about this episode, was how shitty the idols look now.
Yeah, I think it plays into just give us normal idols. Just let people find idols normal and just let them put them normally. Like we don't need to go through all these loops. And like I don't mind the occasional like here's a janitor's keychain that has 1 million keys on it. Like that's fine. But like for every single idol, for it to have to be all these hoops you have to jump through, like go back to hiding.
If you're gonna do this, put it on like an exile island where there's no other content, other than watching people do a scavenger hunt for idols, or hang out in the sugar shack if you're sugar and you found the idol the first time you went.
I find it very, if you're not having idols found straight up and they're not lesser known to people, it kills a lot of their intrigue. If you're not doing that, then do that. Do an exile island where it's more exciting to see whether or not they get it or even I think token change was like there was only one, wasn't there? There was like one idol, and you didn't know if somebody got it. Am I making that up?
No,
He went
Or,
with
like,
two people, and one person got no clue, one person got a clue, and then the idol was hidden at the
Yep.
same place back at their camps.
Yep.
It was in the tree mail and the little like it was in the ass of the tree mail.
Yeah.
I think more of that, more of like hiding it like in challenges. I always love when someone's able to find it in a challenge. And I'm not talking about having it in like a bag of chips or popcorn or whatever.
No, yeah.
Like I'm talking about like having it, like,
Kelly Wentworth.
like
Yeah,
on
that
the
was
bow
cool.
of the boat, like underneath seats on challenges. I want more of that. That is
Even Troyzan finding his on Game Changers. That was pretty exciting.
And it's more entertaining. I think it's just so exhausted of having them like do these silly little riddles to find it, and it exposes them more to being caught, and it takes away the strategic advantage of having the idol, which I don't like, and that's with the knowledge is power and all that stuff out there. So I think that's a valid complaint, and I think that it is something that I hope they fix, but I doubt that they will.
Yeah, I love the challenge too. And one of the seasons that Ben and I helped film, they did that twist, and like I just remember like trying to get the shot, but not trying to be obvious that I was like getting the shot, so the player who found it wasn't like outed by me for finding it. It's like cool. It's a fun moment of tension. Like, oh man, are they gonna get it or not? So I would love if they brought that back personally. Yeah. Well, Ben, anything you want to promote?
No, not really. I mean, I've been watching Traders UK. Celebrity is gonna wrap up this week. I think maybe already wrapped up. I haven't watched the finale yet though, and so no spoilers on that. And then I've been watching Traders Canada season 3. I'm also, I think, behind an episode on that, so I'll have to catch up on that as well. But yeah, both really good seasons of the Traders.
I saw a clip of Omar, and I was like, "Oh man, I love Omar. I gotta watch this season."
Yeah, I mean, I'm like Kevin Jacobs is my favorite player in reality TV history.
Right.
Just like, yeah, and the TV Cantana is one of my favorite seasons of reality TV ever, and like he's so good. He's like even through like 2 or 3 episodes, whatever it is, like he's already so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soon, Traders US. We'll be covering it. Meet Your Breakfast. Check that out. So on TikTok, I actually, I had a Blindsiders account. I had a Have Not Room account. I decided to turn the Have Not Room account into a new account called GameBots, where it's just going to have all of our clips from our various podcasts on it. I think that's a good way to keep it active during the off season of Big Brother, and similar for me. I don't need 7 TikTok accounts. 6 is fine. 7 is just one too many. So yeah, go check out GameBots. It's at GameBots Pod on TikTok, and eventually I'll make a feed for all of our podcasts to go on just that. But yeah, until then, check out the main channel. We get everything. I did a new video. Survivor deserves a better video game adaptation. So go check that out. I'm sure if you like this, you'll like that. And yeah, check out our other channels, Those Fake Nerds, Wicked Scary, This Is Better Radio, our podcasting channel, and Wicked Good Sports. And thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.